Welcome back to CIS101. Okay, we're revisiting technology in action. This time it's going to be Chapter 11. We're going to talk a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes, something that like a phone call. We tend not to think about all the things that go on into making a phone call, either a traditional landline or a smartphone, okay, when working on it. And the same thing is we tend not to think too much about all the things that go on when you're searching the web for something, or you're in the store, looking for an item. All the things that go on behind the scenes. We just care, does it work or not? Are we finding what we're looking for? When we talk specifically, we're going to talk a little bit about database advantages, database types, and database basics. Okay? And the reason that we want to know this, or that some of you are going to want to know, is one, this is good information to have. Right? Two, the average salary in the Chicago area for a database administrator, okay, is about $80,000, $81,000. This is basically the median salary, average pay. This includes people with no experience, who are almost certainly making less, and people with more experience, which can easily can break six figures. All right. This is not a manager. This is just a database administrator. Okay. The reason that companies are willing to put really a lot of money, we're talking about hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars into the hardware, the software, and the salaries, and the procedures for databases, is because that they have a lot of advantages. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about what a database is and why we need them. We're going to talk about the benefits of using a database. We're going to talk about the features of relational databases. The most common type, but by no means the only type. We're going to talk a little bit about the features of object-oriented databases, okay, which are less common than relational databases, but more high-end. They require a little bit. They're more powerful. They perform more quickly, and as a result of the skill sets required, the people working on object-oriented databases, they tend to have higher salaries. We're going to talk about the features of multi-dimensional databases. We'll talk about how relational databases, the 600-pound gorilla in the database world, organize and refine data and define data. And we'll talk about how data is inputted and managed in the database, and not now, but down the road when we work on our Access labs, it would be the last thing we do. It says you will actually be working with a relational database. Okay? When we talk about what a database is, why we need them, we're talking about a database being a collection of related data. And the data that can be stored, sorted, organized, and queried. Okay? Databases make data more meaningful and useful, and I want to make a quick distinction here. Database, okay, when we talk about that, we want to make a distinction between the phrase data and the phrase information. There is a tendency for people to think that the two are the same, but in fact they're not. Okay? Data is like any 10 numbers. Okay? Information is you take those 10 numbers and you organize them into a phone number. Okay? So 9 numbers be any 9 numbers, not necessarily much use to you, but 9 numbers that are your social security number. Suddenly that data is now information. It's organized in a useful way. Databases can prevent the following problems that often occur with lists. They can help you avoid data redundancy. If anybody's ever tried to organize your files, you notice that sometimes you'll have 2 files that are the same. Possibly they look almost the same. They may not actually be the same, but if you're not careful with your naming conventions, you can actually lose track of what is what. They help deal with what we call or consider to be data inconsistency. Is any information missing? Is there information we need to have that we don't have? Just like if you've ever been online and you've ordered something, or you've registered for a conference or something. There's information that is considered the organization has to have, and then there's information that the organization just wants to have, would like to have. We'll talk about inappropriate data, data that really doesn't need to be there, and we'll talk about the concept of incomplete data. A phone number that is 9 digits, not 10, not necessarily much of a good phone number. I know there have been times when I've been listening to radio shows, driving into work, and they say, call us if you, this, that, or the other, and they give out their 7-digit phone number, and it's like, well, that's really great, because in the Chicago area code, there are 2 or 3 possible area codes, and I'm driving down the road. I really don't want to play a guessing game with what the area code might be, so a call is simply not going to happen. Some of the advantages of using a database go back to that they can manage large amounts of data efficiency when they're correctly set up. They can make information sharing possible. Okay, I know that one of the things I like about the internet, and Facebook in particular, is that people that I've lost track with, I can touch base with again. Talked about databases promoting data integrity. In the database world, there are 3 major types of databases. We will talk mostly about relational, but there are also object-oriented, and there are multi-dimensional, and then there are hybrid databases, which can, depending on the skill of your designers and the features that are desirable to you, and the hardware and software you have to support it, you may also want a hybrid database that has features and advantages and disadvantages of more than one type of database. And getting back to that, by far the 600-pound gorilla in database use are relational databases. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. Relational databases, are databases that can organize data into a table format. They're used fairly commonly. And it's what you'll be working with when we do our database exercises here. They logically group similar data into a relation. Like you as students here, you are a particular entity yourself, and the different numbers of classes you are. And the fact that can be brought up onto a screen to show all the classes that you're working on, the classes that you still need to take, classes that you need if you're transferring, classes you need for a particular program. The types of relationships within a database are going to be one-to-many, you and all the classes that you're taking, one-to-one, you and just this class, and they can be many-to-many, all the students in this class and all the students that are taking all the different classes that they're taking. Okay, now this is distinct from object-oriented databases that sort the information into objects, okay, rather than databases. This is a little bit more complicated to grasp and to execute. They contain methods for processing and manipulating data. They can store more types of data than relational databases can, and they can access the data faster. And when you're talking large amounts of data, that can be very, very useful and valuable capability. Database types include multi-dimensional databases, okay, and these are ones that can store data that can be analyzed from different perspectives. Another way of looking at dimensions. A relational database has only 2 dimensions. It's fields and records. Multi-dimensional databases organize in what we consider to be a cube format with many different ways that you can organize information. For example, in the months, in the region, okay, in the model. And again, they can be fairly powerful. They can be very useful, but because of the skill sets required, the pay for people that work on multi-dimensional databases tends to go up. Okay, within all databases, some concepts are going to be the same. Okay, we talk about storing and defining data. We're going to for relational databases, for example. We're going to talk about organizing the information into fields, records, and tables. All right. We're going to talk about the use of primary keys. These are going to be unique to the database. A primary key field, foreign key fields, and referential integrity, which means that they are going to be the same. And an example they have here in the slide is that, Susan Finkel appears to have 2 student IDs. That's a little bit of a problem. It could be, in 2 different addresses. Is it the same person? Is it a different person? And the primary key is used to distinguish between 2 people that in fact appear to be a different person. If you think about it, for just most of you, as far as any level of government is concerned, be it local, be it state, be it federal, okay, your primary key is almost certainly going to be your social security number or your foreign identity or your financial identification number, your FIN. Okay, it doesn't have to be that. In some cases, it shouldn't be that. When I contact my vet for anything, they don't care about my social number. They ask me. I like to think they know me as an individual, but the reality of it is, they ask me by my home phone number. And when I tell them that, they immediately use that as a primary key, and they pick, because we have 2 dogs, and they immediately know, okay, are we talking about email? Are we talking about Evie? What's the problem? Which one it is. Okay. Databases, when you're working with them, okay, in order for them to be useful, you have to input and manage the data. Data validation is a term we use to ensure that only valid data is entered into a field. If it's a phone number, you can't have the letter O when you need to have the letter 0. Okay, if it is if it is numerical, or if it's alphabetical, you can't have the letter I or L when you need to have the letter 1. The databases allow the viewing and sorting of data that allows you to display and reorder the data, and you can extract or query the data, just like when you go out on the internet and use a query or search term to look for something. My daughter is always looking up the weather when she tends to. So now it's with great pride that she has the weather report, and she'll read it off to me, and then it's like, oh, no, never mind, that's for Hawaii, or that's for New York. It's like, well, that's nice, honey, but it would be really nice to know what the weather here is, because that's where we are. Okay? And then again, we're talking about how is the data going to be outputted. Is it going to be outputted to your screen? Is it going to be outputted to paper? Is it going to be outputted to a field on a website somewhere? We're going to talk a little bit, okay, and again, this is one over the world stuff, about how databases businesses use databases, and the concept of database warehousing and storage, using databases to make business decisions. Okay? And when we talk about that, we're talking about explaining what data warehouses and data marts are. They are not the same. They tend to be, there's an overlap, and there's a tendency for people, because they have common features, to use the terms interchangeably, and they really shouldn't do that. We're going to talk a little bit about data mining, how it works, why it's valuable to companies, why Google is willing to provide so many handy-dandy free services to you, okay, in return for nothing. And of course, it's not in return for nothing. They are collecting information, and they turn around and they collate that information, aggregate it, and they sell it to advertisers. There's a reason why Google is a Fortune 100 company. We're going to talk about the main types of business information systems and how they're used by business managers. And we're going to describe business intelligence systems and the types of technologies used to aid in data analysis. Okay? And some of those methods are actually becoming a little controversial right now when we talk about the role of some of the social media companies in various events, and they can promote something, they can not promote something, they can pretend something never happened, and that can have an impact on people, especially what we call low information people, who tend to just get information from one source, and they tend not to be too critical about exactly what they're getting. Data warehouses and data marts provide for the large-scale collection of data. We're talking about that they contain and organize data in one place. The data can come from multiple databases, okay, and they consolidate that information from multiple databases from various systems into one, I don't say system, mart or warehouse, where the information can be pulled up. And then they can present an enterprise-wide view of operations, not just what's going on in this class with regard to the students, but what's going on in the classes all around us. Okay? Data warehousing and data marts that provide for the pulling up of information from different sources, different databases, and this is, when we get into it a little bit more, this is when the XML file extension becomes very handy, because it facilitates this. And then the information is going to be pulled up from those different types of data. It's going to be reformatted, and it's going to be placed into a data warehouse and we say you see the term DBMS, talking about Database Management System, okay, which then you can launch queries against, okay, and then a data mart is going to be a subset of the data warehouse where it specializes in, say, all the information for the sales department or all the information in the customer service department. Okay. Data mining is the process by which great amounts of data are going to be analyzed and investigated. We're talking about all the classes, say, in the 6 community colleges of Chicago, or all the classes of a type in all the University of Illinois, campuses. And of course, the objective is to spot significant patterns and trends that would not be obvious. Is there a particular type of class that is becoming popular? Is there a relationship between the people who get high-paying jobs right off the bat and the majors they take? And in fact, case in point, people who tend to focus on basket weaving degrees have a very, very high, completion rate, which is good. But their starting salaries tend to be right along the lines of people, sometimes less, than people that have no degree whatsoever. People that have computer information systems degrees, there's usually a slower level of satisfactory completions for them. But the starting salaries tend to be, a lot higher, and the happiness tends to be a little higher. In fact, one of the problems we have with the completion rate in the CIS program is that it is not at all unusual that as an individual gets within a class or two of completing your degree, and this happens sadly more than I would like, they find themselves getting a job with a fairly healthy salary, starting salary, even with and they're almost complete but not complete with their degree, is going to be in the 60s, and then they suddenly find themselves, they've got this full-time job, they still have their family responsibilities and everything else going on, and they have their living responsibilities going on, and suddenly it's harder for them to come in and complete that last class or two to complete the degree. They want to do it, but they have to fit it in within all the other things that are going on as well. Okay? Databases are used often to make business decisions. Okay, we call this segment of a database use business information systems. And these are software-based solutions to gather and analyze information. They can be used to deliver up-to-the-minute data, and they are integral. They can be integral to operations because they store the functional information. Case in point, we've almost all of us, if we don't drink coffee, we've heard of coffee. And if we don't go to Starbucks, and certainly I don't like to, but my daughter does, we've all heard of Starbucks. Every 4 hours, Starbucks sends all their sales information onto their databases to their national headquarters so they can see what's going on. Okay, they can see how a promotion is working, if something is selling well, if something is. They just rolled out a product, or they've had a product out for a while, and it's just not really just the demand for it is not really justifying the use in terms of the material and the storage and the training. And it's just not they're just not getting their money's worth out of that particular product. They may drop it. I remember some years back before KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, offered grilled chicken. It used to be you just had fried chicken, either extra crispy or regular crispy. They didn't have a grilled element. And when they first offered it, a bucket of grilled chicken was substantial. It was like less than $10. It was like $9.99 as an opening special. And I remember because my wife was very excited about it, and I had to go out and get some grilled chicken because it was very healthy for the family. And the line was around the block. It took me forever to get the grilled chicken. In fact, I never did get it because when I got there, and of course, when you're in line at a certain point, you're kind of stuck. You can't just say, throw up your hand, say, forget this, and pull out of line because the concrete edges, the concrete curves on either side, you're stuck in the line. So I finally got through the line, got to the point, where I could order the chicken, and son of a gun, they were all out of grilled chicken. I could take a rain check and I could order something else. So I not only was, stuck in line forever and ever, talking about more than an hour, but I never did get the grilled chicken. And I just, when they told me to get a rain check, it's like, never mind. And they found out within a week that the demand for the grilled chicken was such they didn't need to order the special anymore. So while the special was supposed to have been good for the entire month, in less than a week, they basically discontinued the special because they found that the demand for the product was enough that they didn't need to do it anymore. They could raise it to the regular price, comparable to their grilled chicken types, and people would still get it because it was supposedly a healthier alternative to grilled chicken, and that's what people wanted. Information systems perform similar functions. They basically all take the different types of information from different types of databases, and they will process it, and then they will, through the online data retrieval system of the reports, they will basically make it available to the managers. This is how, if you've ever wondered why the price of airline flights is so variable, or the price of gasoline can go up or down, and sometimes you're not really quite sure why. I've always noticed that it's much quicker to go up than it is to go down. It's because the managers of the various businesses can look at what the demand per product is and price it accordingly. The value, or hotel rooms, the Great Wolf Lodge, okay, or a Grizzly Jack, or any other water park. If you've got kids, the price of a room over a weekend is going to be much higher than the price of a room over a Monday or a Tuesday. And I have found a lot of times that if my kids have some sort of vacation or something coming up, or when we were remote learning, that we could check into a hotel or a water park like Great Wolf on a Thursday, and we could relatively inexpensively spend the day there, whereas on the weekend it would be much, much more expensive. Okay, business information systems are the systems that allow us to basically pull up our consumer information online and place our orders, or go to a store and basically order merchandise. And a lot of times I'll do that. If it's free delivery, I will simply order it and have it delivered. And this is one of the silver linings in the situation we find ourselves in, is that delivery has really, really gotten good. It used to be, I remember very clearly, that if I ordered something and I got it in a week or two, that was okay. That was fine. And now I find myself actively looking for, is something going to be here tomorrow? Is it going to be here the next day? 1 or 2 day shipping for a lot of things. And if I can find something that I want at the store and it's going to be there the next day, can I live without it for a day? And if I can, I may go ahead and order it. Or if I order it and it'll be ready for the same day pickup, I'll go ahead and order it and just do it. Or in the case of haircuts, I have an app on my phone that lets me know of the various haircut places in the chain I go to, which one has the least amount of waiting. So one that has like an hour wait versus one that has no waiting, or maybe 5-minute wait line. I'll go sign up for that one, so that, and basically get punched in, so that I just have to show up when I'm ready to go, which I think is kind of cool. There's also the concept of batch processing, which is when the data is accumulated and then several transactions are processed at once. Okay, this is appropriate for those activities that are not time sensitive. It can often be more efficient. For example, and I know people in my neighborhood who do this, a number of the retired people in my neighborhood, they rake their leaves every day. Okay, and that's certainly if you have the time available to do that and it's not raining outside, that is certainly a way to do it. Every day you rake your leaves, it never builds up. It's a fairly easy thing to do. You bag them, and there's a certain amount of logic there. It's not hard to do, get it done, but it does require you the time to do it every single day. Now let's do that. And then there are the people that wait until, and there's a certain logic here, they wait until all the leaves have fallen, and I've actually tried that a couple times. I remember 20 years or so ago, I would experiment, in various seasons, and there was a couple of years where I just let all the leaves fall before I started raking. The idea was, why rake it and then have more leaves fall, which has actually happened to me, here. Last week, raked after Halloween, began raking the leaves. It's my current system, and I filled up like nearly 10 bags worth of leaves, and the yard was raked for about a day. Now looking at it, you'd never know that it was raked because it was just covered with leaves. And I find that the first time I have found that in my current system, the first time I rake the leaves after Halloween, because the rustly leaves kind of add to the spooky factor of the house, takes me about 4 hours. Longer if I let the kids help me. Takes them, takes a bunch of them working together, because that's what I like to do. Takes them about 4, maybe 5 hours to get it done the first time. Then, if I rake it or have it raked weekly after that, it takes just about an hour. Okay, because there's not nearly as many leaves. Even though it looks like a mess, there's just not nearly as many leaves as it would be. If I waited till all the leaves fallen, it would take longer, because you're just dealing with a lot of leaves at that one point. But then, arguably, you're just doing it at one time. Although, that really is something of a younger man's game. When you get older, even so, it's simpler. Sorry about this. It is a pain in the butt. Okay. There's also the concept of business intelligence technologies that are used within the management information system setup to provide timely and accurate information. The demand for a particular product at a particular time, the demand for flights at a particular time. We find pre-COVID, we found that our 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock classes were by far our most popular, followed by our 8 o'clock classes, followed, and way down on the list would be our Friday night classes. Only the flip side of it is we found that the people who took our Friday night classes tended to be very, very dedicated. They had a job and they were tucking us in at the end of, their work week. And while they were not necessarily the most popular classes to take, they were certainly, the students tended to be very dedicated in that they, you pretty much, in terms of completion, the students on a Friday night class, the persistence and motivation was such that they were, as a group, more likely to finish the class than any other. They can allow managers to make critical decisions. Okay, they can direct the outgrowth of TPS. Okay, they can be powerful when they're organized and outputted in a useful form, and they can be used to generate various reports, both digital and printed, about various aspects of your organization. The reports can be here in the school, your daily enrollment report, what's going on, your daily enrollment summary, and your course sections that are fully enrolled versus the ones that are maybe not fully enrolled. We recently went through that just the other day. We had a meeting, and we found that our Cisco classes, logically, it's great stuff to know. There's 3 of them. You take them, you master the skills, you roll out the door, and you're ready to earn, really a $60,000 to $70,000 salary with zip experience. Okay, the flip side of it is they're complicated enough that we have a person enrolled in them right now, which is a little bit of a problem. Is one, how do you have a class for 8 person? How do you justify that in terms of cost? Plus, 1 person. I mean, is it even worth having the class? We also have within business intelligence technologies the concept of decision support systems. Okay, this is another type of business intelligence that's used to help managers develop solutions for specific problems. See that with the traffic control here in the Chicago area. Certain times of the day you'll have additional lanes pointing in just in one direction, because in the morning you have a ton of traffic going downtown. Okay, and if you're trying to leave town in the morning, usually not a problem. In the afternoon, you usually have a ton of traffic trying to leave town. The traffic in and out of O'Hare is a good example of that. And by timing, and I use this all the time, when I figure out where I want to go and what I want to do, it's like, well, when is it? Is it on a weekend? Is it on a weekday? When I went and visited a friend of mine down at the yard he works at, boat yard, we timed it for a time, not early, basically across lunch hour when there wasn't going to be a lot of traffic there. I was able to get in and get out, and we had a quick, enjoyable visit, and then I left it. We're talking about using information from databases and data warehouses to come up with, okay, this is something I want to try, maybe this is something we don't want to try. The users can add their own insights and experiences to the solution. Then maybe they'll say, We actually tried that one time. We used to be that our classes, we'd offer a class at 8, we'd offer a class at 10, we'd offer a class at 12. And they said, well, maybe that's not working. Let's try offering a class at 9. It gets to avoid the morning traffic, okay? And people sleep a little bit later, but still they get done by 11, so they're going to be out of here before the lunch hour. And we found that there's enough demand for that we continue to offer those classes at 9 o'clock. Okay. How a decision support system gets the data. It's basically going to be able to pull up the data from internal and external data sources, say your sales data, say your customer demographics, and your purchases for a customer, and see, and then it will basically put that into a data warehouse or a data mart, and then it'll allow you to pull that information out in either a keyboard-based system or a user interface system like graphic user interface like Windows, or it'll be pulled out in a model management system. Case in point is any fast food place. Do they need? They may not need the same number of people on staff late at night, early in the morning, if they're 24/7, that they do at the breakfast hour, at the lunch hour, at the dinner hour. I've learned the hard way. My kids and I like ordering food from a particular restaurant, but we've learned the hard way that ordering food from that restaurant at lunch, at the dinner hour, is just like, it's going to be late, it's going to take forever, it's going to be really slow. Yes, we like the food, but ordering at dinner is, either order before the dinner hour, before they get really busy, or after the dinner hour when things calm down. Because if we order it right at the dinner hour, it's going to take forever, and the ice cream is going to be melted, and just not going to be a good thing. Okay, things that we have talked about today. We've talked a little bit about what a database is and why we need them, and they are enough of an advantage that companies are willing to spend the time, the money, and the salaries, and for them because of the advantages they provide. We've talked a little bit about the benefits of using a database. We talked a little bit about the features of relational databases, and the fact that we are going to be working with relational databases later on in the class. We talked a little bit about the features of object-oriented databases, the fact they're more powerful, a little more complex. They may be, they arguably are worth learning, but there's going to be more time and effort involved in that. We talked a little bit about the features of multi-dimensional databases. And a lot of you use multi-dimensional databases a lot. YouTube. Okay, if you use that to look up stuff, I use it to look up stuff on ThinkPads all the time. Or if I want to do something mechanical on my car, I may use it for that as well. We talked about how relational databases organize and refine data, and how data is inputted and managed in a database. Okay? Talked about what a data warehouse is, and what a data mart is, and how they overlap, but they are not entirely the same thing. Talked about data mining and how it works, how valuable it can be in terms of collecting information, individual information, and then aggregating it, and it becomes pretty valuable. We described the main types of business information systems and how they're used by business managers in various ways. And we've talked about business intelligence systems and the types of technologies used to aid in data analysis. Okay, extra credit. Choose one of the two. Okay, quick paragraph on the benefits of using databases, why are they valuable, or explain what data warehouses and data marts are and how they are used. In either case, paragraph of 100 words with a reference link, and submit this in assignment 14. Okay, things to be thinking about. Read through Chapter 11, databases. Get in your PowerPoints chapters 1 through 4. I'd like to reinforce, depending on your edition, but generally it's PowerPoint. If you're Chapter 3 on PowerPoints, Step 2 or Step 3 talks about inserting audio or video. Don't insert audio or video. It hugely can increase the size of files. Then it becomes a submission issue. So even though it's nice to be able to do, you should know how to do it, but don't do it for the purposes of this class. This week is our PowerPoint quiz. Okay. Just don't get too. I want to stress: don't get too carried away with that, because you're going to pick the topic that you're going to use your PowerPoint presentation on. You're not going to deliver it, you're just going to prepare it and submit it for evaluation. But there's a tendency of people, because you are picking the topic, to get so carried away with what you're working on that suddenly you throw in everything but the kitchen sink because it's your topic and you really want to do a good job. Keep within the guidelines as much as you can. Bear in mind that our final exam is about a month away. This week is December 14th, okay? And after Thanksgiving, there's not going to be a lot left to do. Questions, okay? And subject to your questions, go ahead and complete the lecture, and I'll be available in class to answer any other questions that you have.